Hello, it's me, Fat Cow. Now, still feel like shit. I'm entering the fatigued stage of my flare, which quite frankly is pants. But I've put some makeup on, I've got my nails on, so I'm trying to bolster my mood. Talking of which, to those of us who are currently entering winter, I have a really good piece of advice for you guys. If, like me, you suffer in the cold, especially your hands, don't put nails on like this, because you can't wear gloves. Yeah. Oh well, live and learn. Now, I just want to say something before I get into the video proper, and that is I've had somewhat of a smallish backlash because I have supported Shani. Now, I was under the impression that I was very clear in my videos that I was not in any way, shape or form supporting Shani as a person. I don't know a lot about her, but what I do know doesn't bode very well. I was defending and supporting people with disability, whether that is Shani or not, because it's also been pointed out that Shani isn't necessarily disabled or someone who suffers with fibromyalgia. Foodie Beauty has targeted Shani, yes, but she's also targeted fibromyalgia and claimed it's just an excuse, and also made fun of people that need to use commodes. In this case, it happens to be with reference to Shani. I am defending people with fibromyalgia and those who use commodes and those with disabilities in general. It just happens that Foodie was talking about Shani. If she went directly against a disabled person from my community, for example, who we love, I would defend that person, and it would be very clear I was defending that person. Just because I criticise Foodie doesn't mean I am supporting the person she's currently got a beef with. I am pointing out and defending against disability shaming, using Foodie Beauty as a talking point because all of you know her. I am not defending Shani. So, I've been doing a bit of thinking about what's generally going on, and I have 2 points I want to make. The first point is very straightforward and simple. Foodie, I know you have no positive feelings about me in any way, shape or form. However, you can ignore everything else I've ever said ever and will say, but please listen to this. You need to get your brain scanned immediately. You suffer from emboli in the lung. There is a very good chance you have a blood clot in your brain somewhere. You are showing every indication of heading towards a full-on stroke. You are showing very, very clear indications of having mini strokes, which can be fleeting, last minutes, maybe half an hour, and then go away. But studies have shown that people who have these mini strokes, they do not get treatment, they will almost definitely go on to have a full-blown stroke. Get an effing brain scan. Stop being so stubborn. This actually leads me onto the main subject I wish to talk about. And that's the lens that Foodie sees her world through. Because the world of Foodie Beauty, in Foodie Beauty's mind, is very, very different to what everybody else sees. I mean, we're talking rose-tinted glasses max here. Foodie is of the belief she has a good life. She's of the belief she's not nearly as unhealthy as she is. She's under the belief of many, many, many things that objectively are not true. I have notes, so I'm going to keep looking down. This rose tinted glasses thing she's got going on is actually what psychologists would call cognitive distortion. Now, the thing about cognitive distortion is, as a rule, it's people seeing things as being more negative than they actually are. But, Fat Cow, you say, that's not Foodie at all. Ha-ha, I say. Think of Foodie's cognitive distortion as being seen through the lens of a narcissist. Instead of seeing everything as being more negative than it is, Foodie sees everything as being more positive, because as a narcissist, she believes it's her God-given right to have everything she asks for and to be everything she aspires to. Young, healthy, virile, sexy, intelligent, happily married, living a good quality life, actually being of a higher class than she is, and everybody being jealous of her. That kind of thing. So, cognitive distortion. What are we dealing with here? Now, as I said, usually it's a negative thing. You will look at yourself in the mirror and the first thing you will see is something that you will decide is absolutely hideous, whereas the rest of the world doesn't even notice it. That sort of thing. However, as I said, twist it, flip it, whatever. Look at it through the lens of somebody who is a narcissist. There are certain types of cognitive distortion. Some don't apply to Foodie, but out of the 11 types there are, there's a good 6 that do. The first type of cognitive distortion is the all or nothing scenario. So in Foodie's case, the all or nothing is, I'm good, therefore everybody else is bad. I'm right, everybody else is wrong. I'm smart, everybody else is stupid. I'm big, but everybody else is bigger. See where I'm going with this one? Another form of cognitive distortion is overgeneralization. So that's basically taking an incident of, in this case, something that's perceived to be positive and applying it to everything or one thing in particular. An example for this would be, I was successfully watching my calories, and therefore I am successfully following a lifestyle change. One would argue you never successfully counted your calories, and you're definitely, any noises you may hear are down to one cat who's having a moment. And now I've forgotten what I was saying. Yes, it is objectively obvious you're not doing well with your lifestyle change. Another cognitive distortion is a mental filter. Obviously, we're looking at this through the lens of somebody with narcissism. So, only focusing on a particular aspect of something and ignoring everything else. Say, for example, this person who criticises me is butt ugly, and therefore nothing else matters, even if what they're saying is correct. They're ugly, therefore doesn't matter. Another form of cognitive distortion is mind reading, and that's assuming you know what everybody else is thinking. Foodie assumes we all hate her. Foodie assumes, with her mental filter, her overgeneralization, and her all or nothing attitude as well, that she's the good guy and we're the bad guy. Next, magnification and minimalization. Yes, Foodie magnifies the fact that she was trying to count her calories and minimalizes the fact that she fell off track. She maximizes the use of the treadmill and minimalizes the fact that she was not necessarily particularly successful even when she went on the treadmill. And labelling and mislabelling. Beezer's good, girl world bad. All girl world. Even though Beezers are technically members of girl world. Carbs good. Keto bad. Not necessarily an exciting example, but my mind's doing a thing currently because there's a little somebody darting about and I can see it in my peripheral vision and I am incredibly easily distracted. So why is Foodie cognitively distorting her life? Because objectively it is complete and utter shit. She's made a monumental mistake coming to Kuwait, and she does not want to face it, to the point that while we're thinking she's just lying for the sake of being stubborn, she might actually legitimately think that everything's fine. She is definitely ignoring or distorting all the glaringly obvious warnings her body is giving her that something really tragically, monumentally disastrous is coming, and it's coming soon. And I will I fear it's a stroke. While editing this, it suddenly occurred to me that Foodie really, really should not go on a plane. Holy crap. And she had that moment when she was doing with the mustard, which was really, really disconcerting. And yet, it's fine. Bloody hell, woman. Take the glasses off. One more thing. Not necessarily a cognitive distortion, but something that also applies extremely well to our foodie. Body dysmorphia. Now you're all going to say, no, body dysmorphia is when you think you're fatter than you are, or other things of that nature. Again, narcissist. And there is actually a condition called reverse body dysmorphia, which both Foodie Beauty and Amberlynn Reid definitely struggle with, and that's the belief that you are a lot smaller than you actually are. Amberlynn Reid admitted it herself. She's surprised when she sees pictures of herself because she thinks she's much, much smaller. Foodie definitely thinks she's significantly smaller than she is. Are the filters to blame? In part. Always seeing yourself filtered is going to mess up how you see yourself. I bet she rarely, if ever, looks at herself in the mirror. A large mirror or a full-length one. And I bet when she does her makeup, the mirror literally you only see the part of her face that the makeup goes on and not the whole thing. She probably puts her makeup on with a veil on, to be honest, before she even looks in the mirror. Foodie's world, in Foodie's eyes, is much, much different from the reality. Does it make her perception something we should have sympathy for? I mean, is she just mentally protecting herself by refusing to acknowledge how bad everything is? Well, the thing is, Foodie has a lot of mental issues that need to be dealt with. This is among many, 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 and it is very hard to feel sympathy for somebody who refuses to get help. Does she know? I don't know. Does she think she needs help? I actually don't think she does. Part of the narcissism will contribute towards the feeling of not needing help. A narcissist will never admit to needing therapy. And that's the biggest problem with narcissism in terms of mental health, is narcissists don't think anything's wrong with them. Foodie, for want of a better phrase, is the epitome of a lost cause. Nothing's going to get better. Nothing. Not her health, not her mental health, not the situation she's found herself in. And very, very, very soon it's going to get even worse. And finally, on a personal note, you guys may have observed that yesterday, for a very brief moment in time, I had a shop on my channel. Now, I chose a particular website to do this shop through that seemed to be popular with other UK based creators. I wasn't particularly impressed by the options that were presented in terms of how I could apply my designs. But I did some very simple, very basic, what I thought was good enoughs. More for the sake of just having something. And then I linked it to my account and made it go live. It wasn't until I looked at it live that I actually found out how much they were charging for this stuff. And quite frankly, I don't think it's in any way, shape or form acceptable given the limitations of the designs that you can present, and I think it's too expensive for what it does. So I've done some investigating, and there is a way that I will be able to do a shop with stuff that is actually handmade, or if the item is clothing, the item has been bought new but has been altered by myself, probably via the medium of fabric paints, which I'm not that bad at all. However, things will end up being of a similar price than they would have been through the other store, but everything will be hand done and therefore unique because I'm not a photocopy machine, and would have effort put into it. So the t-shirt will be the same price, but your t-shirt would be 100% unique because, as I said, I cannot physically paint two identical things. I also plan to make dolls or plushies. Things very similar to this skeleton, but this is the idea I had, particularly given that I have so many people who are chronically ill in my community. Cow voodoo dolls. Obviously, I can only do so much. I'm one person. And so it's going to be a slow process and it's going to take a while. And once things are uploaded for sale, once they're gone, they're gone. So we'll see how this goes. But I will be absolutely buggered if I'm going to allow substandard designs on mass printed whatchamacallits be sold at that price when you can get something a shitload more personal for the same price. That's a promise. So I figured out the website to do it through. I've got to create a website. That does not sound like fun. And I've got to make the stuff. But that's what weekends are for. Crafts. No videos. If I do a video on the weekend, you can tell me off. Unless it's about something that absolutely has to be reacted to. Anyway, on a personal note, I'm doing alright. I woke up with a good attitude. Feel like shit, really tired. Not going to do any housework today, apart from, looking after pets and stuff like that, obviously. I'm up to date with things that need to be up to date. I'm alright. I am just going to float around doing things I want to do, I like to do, things I don't have to do, but are fun, and work on this shop idea of mine and just take it easy. I will nap if I need to. I'm always a bit more feisty when I get my nails on. It's amazing how something so stupid and so small can change how you feel about yourself. One other thing that I had noticed about myself when I get extra fatigued that I thought was interesting and wondered if any of you could relate. When I'm extra fatigued plus, I get really hungry for specific types of food, bingey types of food, let's say. It's as if my body's saying, if you ate more calories, you'd have more energy. And I spend all the time saying, no, this is not how it works. Being tired is not an excuse for having a packet of biscuits. And I am trying. I failed yesterday. But I'm aware that this is what's happening, because even if I did eat and eat and eat, magically I'm still fatigued. So I know it's a trick. It's telling me lies. If I want a treat food, I can be more prudent in what I choose. I could have a hot chocolate, low-fat one, instead of a bar chocolate maybe, if I don't think that will trigger me to continue. Or I can just ignore this because I know it is noise and it's talking crap, and I am choosing to ignore it. I will live with the discomfort, as they say, because we are stronger than that.